gathered here for the conference on Intralogistics and Warehousing Transportation Management. So we are going to start our first session, which is on digital transformation and human-robot collaboration. So first of all, I would like to tell you about this session. So the discussion aims to delve into the intersection of technology and human expertise in optimizing warehouse operations, exploring topics such as automation, AI integration, workforce augmentation, and the evolving role of human workers in tandem with robotic solution. So please give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for this session. And for this, I would like to call our moderator on stage, Mr. Rajesh Nath. Please give a big round of applause for him, ladies and gentlemen. He is the Managing Director, VDMA India. Mr. Rajesh Nath has more than 32 years of experience working in various industries in Germany and India. He has been accorded the Cross of the Order of Merit, highest civilian award from the German President. Please give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our moderator. Now, I would like to call our panelists. So first of all, I would like to call Mr. Peter Kazander, Managing Director, Logistics Exhibition, on stage. Please give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Peter Kazander. Mr. Peter is the Managing Director of Logistics Exhibition, a subsidiary of Landmesse Stuttgart and Euro Expo Messe und Congress. His main tasks include the successful expansion of LogiMAT China, the International Trade Fair for Intralogistics Solutions and Process Management. Kindly be seated, everyone. Please give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Peter Kazander. Now I would like to call Mr. Sangeet Kumar on stage, co-founder of Addverb. Mr. Sangeet Kumar, a seasoned professional and an alumnus of IIT Kharagpur, brings 2 decades of experience of process automation and material handling automation. Please give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Sangeet Kumar. Now I would like to call Mr. Anubhav on stage. Please give a big round of applause. He is Head of Operations Exports of Zooplus. Anubhav is an experienced operation professional with expertise in establishing large-scale warehousing and logistics solutions. Please give a big round of applause for Mr. Anubhav Rai, ladies and gentlemen. Now I would like to call Mr. Ribin Mathew, founder of ANSCER Robotics, on stage. Please give a big round of applause. He is the CEO of ANSCER Robotics, stands at the helm of pioneering force in robotics. Please give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our panelists. Now I would like to call Mr. Dirk, Hanschur, CEO, LogiMAT. Please give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Dirk. With more than 20 years of experience in solution design, XKN has been credited for setting up hub and spoke model solution for a huge global network. Please give a big round of applause for our panelists and for our moderator. Over to you, sir.
So good afternoon, friends. Hearty welcome to this show, LogiMAT 2024, LogiMAT India 2024. And I hope you had the chance to visit the stalls, to see some of the displays that are there. And I think we had a very good start to the exhibition. And we have esteemed panelists with us today. So our aim is to discuss a little bit on the digital transformation and why is that so important for India. As we know, the aim of the Indian government is that manufacturing gets a boost in India. We want to become a $5 trillion economy and manufacturing should want to be about $1 trillion towards this $5 trillion. And when we talk about manufacturing, it is important that a certain level of automation and digital transformation also happens for India to be on path and to be globally competitive also. So, with that, my first question I would like to ask Dirk, Peter and Sangeet. Now, in the last 3 years, we have seen the impact of the 3 C's: COVID, conflict, climate. So all 3 C's have really impacted us, and as we go ahead also, I think this impact of the 3Cs to some extent would continue. Maybe COVID would not be so strong, but maybe we'll have other calamities or other uncertainties coming in. Now, under this uncertain factor, it is important that the supply chain has to be strong and we have to mitigate the supply chain disruptions. However, I think it's easier said than done. So let's start with that. Maybe we'll start with you, Peter, first. What do you feel? How can these supply chain risks or disruptions be mitigated as we go ahead?
Okay. It is obviously, especially COVID. Okay, we more or less covered COVID. I believe Mother Nature will tell us if we can cover climate. But for the conflicts, we are responsible by ourselves. Yes, the situation in the last 4 years changed, and it will never be the same again. But that happened a lot of time already. This is not the first time. Yes, we need new type of supply chains. We need new type of technologies. We need new ways of making sure that everything we want to produce, we want to sell, we want to ship, we want to receive, we want to be able to use, to get from the production to the consumer. That means in this new situation, what happened after COVID first? A lack of skilled workers. All of a sudden, worldwide we had a lack of skilled workers. I don't know where they all left, but for some reason 30% of the working force is gone. So yes, of course, now everybody is talking about automation. Automation is important, and that is the chance that we have in this new situation. We need automation, and the next step, autonomization, we need also. The good news from my point of view is that we don't need it all tomorrow. We don't need it tomorrow, but we don't need it all. There are still a lot of companies which do not have a steam engine, and they still exist. There are still a lot of companies who are not completely digitalized, and they still exist. But I think the companies of the future, yes, automation, and next step, automation.
Yes, what we've realized is by taking a look to all of the global networks and global supply chains that there has always been disruption somehow in the past. This has always happened, but it never happens, or at least I cannot remember that it happens in that a short time frame with already 3, 4, even 5 incidences connected to it and impacting nearly all of the entire global supply chain. There was a case already in 2007, and however, this was really something where we have realized and we saw it that there is a dramatic need to also to adapt the supply chain to current needs and to be flexible, to set up a supply chain in a way that I can react flexible, that I can adjust it in a speedy way, and this is only possible if I have first of all the visibility of the supply chain, what is moving around, what is coming from where, what is quite many supply chains are still intransparent and invisible, and in that context that is unique the last couple of years.
Sangeet, now you're in a business which is very much I think very high tech also. So regarding the supply chain, what are your views, Sangeet, going ahead? How can these disruptions be mitigated?
Yeah. So you spoke about COVID, climate, and the economy. So COVID has done 2 things to supply chain according to me. For countries like India, we have a massive opportunity because there is a talk of China +1, and therefore lot of manufacturing is moving to
sound खराब क्यों आ रहा है?
countries like India, India being one of them,
Sound
and
सुन
then
रही
there
है,
are
सुन
the
रही है।
Mexico. The other thing what is happening is the onshoring is happening. So there are a lot of manufacturing which went to China. Now companies want it back in Europe and in US. And what it is driving. So on one hand, what Peter said, after COVID, we don't have enough people, even in a country where the population is 1.2 billion, we don't have enough people in the warehouses or enough people in hard tasks. So people don't want to, one, migrate to other states, second, they don't want to do hard work. So, and manufacturing is moving to China, to India because of China Plus One. So this problem, both these problems, one is opportunity, other is problem, and if it has to be solved, the technology has to be there. Whether it is digitization or it is automation. And for companies like us, there is massive opportunity. The other thing regarding onshoring, which is happening in more developed countries, and therefore the manufacturing or where the consumption happens, the handling of consumption, which is the supply chain, has to happen in a totally different way. It has to be reimagined. And if it has to be reimagined, the base has to be technology, the base has to be digitization, the base has to be automation. Because we don't have people to do dull and dirty work. So that is my take on what is happening because of COVID. The other thing which you touched about is on the climate aspect. And for companies like us, we have to build products which are much more greener than the products which are available. So when I say greener, it might mean the batteries has to last for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, so that you don't have the recycling load if there is a battery which gets used in the technology, or let us say the kind of plastics that gets used. Even if you have to transport the material, and that material, the consumption is happening in a continent which is X, and you have to transport the material from Y continent which is certain kilometer, etc. There also onshoring does happen. There is a lot of people who are getting aware of this impact of climate and the supply chain, how it should be designed, how the hubs have been designed, etc. And again, there is a lot of things which are happening in that.
Right, thank you. And I think some very important point you mentioned also, Sangeet, about waste being automation and from automation, this digital transformation can take place. Now, that brings me to the next question to Anubhav and Ribin also. Now, when we talk about the digital transformation, Anubhav and Ribin, we are finding that, friends, the larger companies are able to adopt a certain level of digital transformation. But I think the challenge comes with the mid-size, small-size companies. And we know in India, a large number of companies are so-called MSMEs. In fact, almost, Peter and Dirk, this will be interesting for you. In our small or mid-sized companies, almost 99% have less than 10 people. So, where do you find the usage, or how can the MSME also benefit from this digital transformation journey? And Ribin, we were discussing earlier also about this question of how MSMEs can adopt a certain level of automation and be part of this digital journey. So let's start. I'll start with Anubhav first.
Actually, I would go back to the previous statement. Not every company or industry would need automation tomorrow. So, but then to stay ahead of the game, vision of the company is. Now, what that means basically is that the company, every company in an industry should look forward to one of the giants in that industry and look for the solutions which have been a successful one and totally replicated at that distance, given the efficacy of those. Sometimes it's better to be a smart follower than the first mover also, and that's what the MSMEs should always gain on, so that they always stay in the game and they're not losing behind. That's number one in my assumption for MSMEs. But then there's always the need for advancement, for where they need to look. Generally, for MSMEs, we would notice the capacity or capability becomes the bottleneck. Yeah, the capacity or capability becomes the bottleneck. And that's where they should focus on the areas in their industry where they need to implement automation or digital transformation to increase their capabilities without spending on infrastructure costs, but more on digital transformation costs, which can be scaled with growing infrastructure.
My view on this is a little different. So why it is called small medium enterprise? Because their budget or the revenue they operate itself is at a scale. So for an SME to adopt any automation, the first priority for them is a cost, whether it makes a cost sense or not. There is a lot of technologies that can be implemented and used at very advanced level. If it doesn't make a cost sense for them, then they will be the last one to adopt that technology. So for example, an enterprise might have a very big budget, then they can take a risk even if the technology doesn't work out. It's still alright. When it comes to an MSME, it is their livelihood, or I would say it's a line where they have to draw to adopt a new technology. One of the other key factors that we have noticed is the person who leads the SME, or they don't have a team or automation team or a digital transformation team which can dedicatedly do a digital transformation for them. Whereas in an enterprise like Flipkart or Amazon, these guys have a dedicated automation team to create or to go fetch the best technology possible for them and implement it in their factories and in warehouses. So this is where startups or companies like us comes in handy for SMEs to help them understand or educate them that this technology is something that is already proven. You don't have to be the first guy to adopt the technology, but there are good proven technologies in the market which you can take in. So thus, we actually play a very pivotal role in helping them adopt this technology only, but the cost factor has to make sense. So that's why we take on this.
I think a very important point also that, of course, the financing or the cost is one of the factors. Also, I feel, Ribin, that sometimes by these small enterprises, they do not even the manpower availability to handle automation also. That becomes a source of sort of uncertainty for them also. Now, you spoke about the startup, Ribin, you yourself are in a way a startup. Tell us, Ribin, how has been the journey of a startup? The support, are you getting adequate support? We see the government talking a lot about the startup programs, how the startups are being supported in India, and we want India also to become a startup hub, which especially you are in Bangalore. Bangalore is quite a startup capital of India in a way. So just tell us a little bit about the journey of a startup and the support the government is providing and what else could be done for a startup actually.
From my experience, the support that we are getting today is better than any time in our history some startup was done, including funding. The GST that we are paying is actually refundable up to a limit. I think it is 20 crore. When you cross 20 crore, you are not eligible for that. So for a startup, this is very important. The revenue that we make stays with us. That's a very good thing. Second, what could have been better is we still lack of lot of ecosystem. I know this word is very elaborative. But what I meant by that is, even though we are a robotics company, the technology that we are developing, all the sensors, all the motors, all the drivers, 90% of that get imported. So that means in India, the ecosystem that is required to build these technologies still at very premature stage. So the support that is required for the startup is the import duty is something that is very high, which is making our equipment also cost go very high. So now this results into the consumer. He consumes this product. He has to pay that import duty as well. So these are the supports that I feel like missing, and I would definitely say we need more startup who works on core technology. For example, LIDAR is something that we use every day in our automation. Literally, there is very limited companies in India who is making that device or that technology available. And I can go on and go on. So these are the limitations that we see in the industry as an ecosystem. Definitely, this has to come up. So that's my point on that.
Right. I think again an important point, and it's very good to know that you are very positive of the government support that is happening to the startups, and I think this is really helping the startup culture growth in India. It will be interesting for Peter and Dirk also that we are having the startups are blossoming in India or doing well in India, and there's a lot of trust from the government also for the startup. Sangeet and Anubhav, in fact, Sangeet, I'll come to this first to you. Now, Sangeet, with digital transformation, we can enable mass customization as well as personalization of products, catering to the specific needs of the customer. Now, can Indian manufacturers leverage these capacities to meet the diverse requirements as well as international requirements? And the other question is, would the customer be ready to pay for this additional service?
So, that size of one industry 4.0, the dream. And I'll give you examples where we are talking right now from India. There is a EV manufacturer, two-wheeler manufacturer, and there is a EV bus manufacturer. And the traditional way of manufacturing is you put it in assembly line, and there is a robotic robot for milking cows. Now these three companies we are working with. All these three companies, it is assembly line production. So the Ford way of doing things, you put it on the conveyor, and every station you do, there is a takt time, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, etc., etc. But because of the flexibility which people want, and because of the customization, so you don't want your vehicle to or the assembly line to be designed for one model. You want the vehicle to go move to 15 stations, and then for customization go to 2 stations, come back, and then again travel on this path. For this, and if you compare it with traditional technology, and this can be achieved by mobile robot, which is what we produce, and which is the way we are designing their factories. We have seen and we compared both the things. Finally, for customization, you are not spending more, but you are getting more from your end customer. And this customization is not the Rolls-Royce customization where the vehicle has to stay at one place and everyone. This is mass customization. This is possible because of the advent of technology, in our case, mobile robots, and these technology which can lift, and you have lift up to 10-ton load. So you can lift a bus with 2 robots working in tandem and going to different places. And this company makes only 6 buses in a day. So, and completely customized to different state government, different Uber as a customer. So, completely customized to their needs and doing it right now at 6 to 10 buses. If they plan for 50 to 100 buses. And these are micro factories. These are not mega factories. They don't want to build mega factories and they will achieve customization at cost which is uncomparable or like a mass product. That is already happening because of digitalization.
Very interesting. I think thanks for sharing this example, Sangeet. Yes, Anubhav, you have.
I would go to your last question where you said, is customer ready to pay for it? So while we were working on some of the personalization, we were really going through some research, customer data. What we realized is about a third of the customer is willing to pay for the personalization. And about 20% of the customers are even ready to exchange some feedback data or some data back to the origin companies for some discount or personalization. So there is a demand, there is a requirement for sure. And with the advent of augmented reality, technologies like digital twin, the companies can experiment a lot with personalization with lower investment cost as well, because then you can design and create pilots and test out things. And when I talk about e-commerce, where I relate more, e-commerce, the personalization starts with the customer as well, where there are smart mirrors, technology and different things, and which relay back to the factory settings. And these all can be done with the digital transformation in its end. And it goes they both go in parallel, the personalization and digital transformation. And to achieve that personalization, I think the company needs to be very flexible and agile in its sense, while maintaining the cost. So those are the few factors to consider for a company. But is it doable? And companies are doing it at a lot of scale. They are doing it, and it is happening. And a lot of startups are achieving it. So that means it is cost efficient, can be done.
Very good. Thank you, Anubhav, also for this. I think both these examples, friends, were very positive examples where companies are willing to pay for the personalization factor. Now, taking that forward, let me come to Peter and Dirk. Now, we are talking about digital transformation. We are talking about AI integration. But important part for that to be realized or to gain benefit from that, Peter, is that the workforce must be ready for it. In the workforce, you have to skill the workforce. And is that happening sufficiently? Do we have skilled workforce who can adopt to these digital transformation journey? Because otherwise the whole effort would be only half fulfilled.
Yes, otherwise the whole effort would be for nothing. Yes, of course, but it is changing. In the early days, you learned the profession and you did your profession until you were 65 and then you retired. Now technology is changing so fast and you need what we call the lifelong learning. So it needs to be adapted. It's a very different skill that you need. This morning in a meeting, somebody remembered me to the fact that my generation, we grew up with the first television, the first radio, the first internet, the first, we had the privilege of growing into it. At the moment, we have a complete new situation of which on one side we say we need skilled workers, on the other side we are still defining what is skilled in this new situation. We're talking about robotics, we're talking about AMRs, we're talking about cobots, and so what education do we need at the plant? And that is what is to be defined. And that is what we also try to do on the trade show by integrating this learning effect. Yeah, we want people to learn, and please do so, because you don't know what you don't know, and that is something you can only pick up when you talk or meet with other people.
Yeah, thank you for that, Peter. Coming to you.
Yeah, I mean, we have the same issues. And what we realize quite often is
that we maybe go with a too high expectation to the market to find those people, as all of the companies would like to have them. On our side, it's quite often that they need to have not just 2 or 3 fields in which they are an expert. They need to be an expert in data science and data technologies, but we are also looking for logistics experts, and they need to be that in the personal union. This is difficult, and it's difficult to get them also on the market. That's why it makes sense, like you said also, to take a look to the crew, what we have already, and to take time to develop those people in that direction, to see who has an interest in what. Yeah. Actually, this is far more successful than just going to the market and complaining about people are not there. As this we're really doing with too high, and all of us we have too high expectations on that side, and that's developing that direction. Other people is to me, definitely something we need to focus much more on.
No, I think it is important that we go stage by stage, and I think that's where also in India, a certain level, as we had the example perhaps in the beginning, that the MSMEs must look at the low-hanging fruits and how they can utilize the for the development of automation and take it in a step-by-step manner. Let me come to Sangeet now. Sangeet, now we are talking about the digital transformation, we are talking about connected systems. Now Sangeet, there is a lot of data that is being transferred. There is a lot of concern also globally about whether this data is safe, cyber security. Now how is the level of awareness in India? How are you finding other companies taking adequate precautions when we talk about this issue of cyber security?
Yeah, I'll speak from both perspectives,
Right.
as a user of technology and as a supplier of technology. So there are 2 layers mostly in automation, IT and OT, we are all aware of. IT cyber security, I think there is enough knowledge and enough awareness about it, and therefore most of the companies, even MSMEs today, are very concerned about it, and they do their best to protect themselves. And there are also large players like Google, Legend, etc. Or Microsoft. If you use their services, most of the practical thing which you do at IT layer gets enough awareness, and not even the suppliers of technology are doing enough in protecting these equipments and protecting the customer, because there is lot of data which is getting captured and generated in the form of digital data. It can be pictures or videos which a robot takes while moving around, and I'm just giving an example of robot because I'm more familiar with that. But there are so many other areas where data are getting collected. Let us say if there is a bottle filling line, so every bottle which gets filled is a data, how much it is getting filled is a data, and all those things are getting collected. And if we don't do enough at OT layer as far as cyber security is concerned, I think we become very, very vulnerable, because OT and IT layer today is connected. So there has to be awareness, there has to be lot of things which suppliers of technology has to do from their end, and there has to be lot of things which consumers of technology have to ask as far as cyber security of these equipments are concerned.
Very nice. And I think also for the audience, I think this is an important point, that on both the consumer side also, you have to ask the provider what adequate steps are being taken. Thank you for that, Sangeet. Anubhav, coming to you now. What is the right mix of automation and manual process for a company that is trying to say switch to automation? So what would be your suggestion to that?
As a customer on that end, like when I am thinking about our warehouses and okay, we want to advance towards automation, there's always this dilemma, what is the right mix we need to do, because we already have established manual setup, or when I say we, generally the MSMEs or the different companies have an established manual operation setup. So what is the right mix to go towards automation? So and in my head, the principle which we generally operate by is if you have if your number of SKU is predominantly very high, that's when you go for advanced autonomous solution, where you go for goods to person or those kind of solution. But when you have already established fixed manual operation, you should look at areas how to implement automation to leverage those capabilities, how you can switch manual packing to automated packing using auto bags, those different type of robotic packing solutions. How you can use, if you are handling heavier products, how you can use a vacuum lift assist or robotic arms to assist the people who are working, thereby increasing the productivity. So not necessarily you don't always need an overhaul from a manual to an automated solution, but it always depends on what is the mix. Sometimes it's just an area which requires automation, sometimes it's your overall operation which requires automation.
Thank you, Anubhav. Ribin, taking a clue from that, going ahead now, when we talk about human-robot collaboration, what do you feel? What is the level of this human and robot collaboration that is being followed in the manufacturing industry in India? And primarily, where are the challenges that you find for this adoption of human-robot collaboration?
So, on the human-robot collaboration, in industries, especially in manufacturing industries, the material movement area is being fairly adopted already. What I meant by that is moving a trolley to assembly line, or getting vehicles assembled on a AMR or a robot, or moving fitting items that are required to be fitted into the vehicle. All these areas are fairly getting adopted. Humans are capable of working along with robots, has been proven already. So where this is getting advanced is the mimics of human, especially the hands mimic movements. That's where the advancement right now going through. So we actually provide some solutions where AMR plus cobot coming together. So here the challenge is again, as the mass adoption is required, the number of robots adoption increases, the cost has to come down. So wherever we actually look for a mass adoption, right now all the projects running in the industry, especially in India, is greenfield projects. They are getting to know about the technology, they are familiarizing with the technology. Even we have to train the people to how to behave when a robot is around. You should not jump without warning, or you should not cross certain paths. So these kind of behaviorals are being taught to the employees or factory workers when they are in the factory. Now again, if you look at the challenge, technology is there, and some of the technology a company can afford, this mass adoption will be a problem. So companies like Schneider is very forefront in it. They have the budget to forecast, or they have the budget to test trials and put robot on working. Even their ROI doesn't meet at the current time. But when it comes to mass adoption, it has to meet. There is no doubt on that. And collaboration is getting, I would say, it is still in the starting stages of it. I would say 20% maybe adoption is happening, but 80% is completely less common.
So good. I think it's at least the process has started in India, and as we go ahead, I think as more and more automation comes in, it will become more stronger also. Thank you for these inputs. Now coming to Dirk and Peter. First, maybe I'll give Dirk the chance to. So Dirk, we are at this exhibition, LogiMAT. Exhibitions like LogiMAT how do they help the industry?
ये क्यों नहीं चल रहा है? ये क्यों नहीं चल रहा है?
Really helping the industry also.
ये क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? ये तो आना चाहिए।
It's a place where all comes
ये
together.
ऑप्शन क्यों नहीं आ रहा है?
Yeah, where all the new technologies comes together, where everybody can see that the latest development also, and it's also quite often I personally take since years, also always look to the startup pitches, and also the next year which is still there, which is no more which are surviving on that side. So it is definitely a place to where all the innovations are at one spot, and where the spotlight is then also on it. And it is a fantastic idea also to exchange information, also in between companies, how things are being developed and sharing.
In the early days, a trade show was a place where products were presented and you came there to buy products. Point. That was it. Looking at LogiMAT, the modern trade show, we exchange information. It's more about, no, it's all about networking, learning from each other. As I said before, no, you don't know what you don't know. So listen to each other. That's the main part also of my job, listening. Listen to each other. What do you want? Yes, I agree. On a trade show, you see all new technologies, but you don't need them all. You need some of them today, maybe some others tomorrow, maybe the third solution in another process. Yeah, that's the same with automation in an organization. You can never do any automation without looking at your process. First of all, it's the process, and if you automate a bad process, you get a bad process, automated process. Yeah. So, and that is something you can really learn at a trade show by talking to people, by exchanging information, by listening, or by learning. And then, after 3 days of a trade show, and that can be a LogiMAT here in Delhi, but it can also be in India, in China, or in Germany. You can come back in your company, in your environment, and use this information for your business. And I have never, ever had a visitor in any LogiMAT that bought everything. But learning is important. One last sentence. This really happened. It must have been about 10 years ago. I had a visitor in Stuttgart asking me, where can I buy Industry 4.0? For this visitor, it was very important to learn. And in the meantime, he did. So, yes, trade show, definitely place to learn.
Perfect. Very nice, Peter. I think that was very nice to close the discussion. And before we conclude, friends, with the last one, we'll go a little out of syllabus now. We'll have a rapid fire round. So rapid fire round is short, crisp answer, actually. Let me start with you. I'll start with Dirk. Dirk, automation, is it a necessity or it is good to have?
It's a necessity.
Perfect. Okay. Peter, now you spoke so passionately about exhibitions. Let me ask you, an exhibitor participating in an exhibition. So I'll give you the various options. He's participating in an exhibition to sell, to network, to show technological development. What would be the sequence of priority?
To network.
To network. Okay, perfect. Sangeet, coming to you now. Industry 4.0. Is it a journey or it is a destination?
I think it is a journey. We will keep on improving and keep on improving the meaning of Industry 4.0 as we go.
Right, perfect, very nice. Anubhav, we'll go totally out of syllabus now. You are connected with the pet food industry.
So, do dogs have rebirths?
I wish they have. I hope they have.
Okay, taken. Now, Ribin, you're from a startup. So, for the startup, as you go ahead, what is the bootstrapped, investing everything yourself or taking funding?
We are taking funds.
Taking funding. Okay, thank you. Friends, a round of applause for our panelists. I don't know, do we have time for questions or... yeah, if so, colleagues, if anyone, friends, anyone has any specific questions to our eminent speakers here? Any questions from anyone?
Check.
Yeah, if there are. Yes. Does anyone have any specific? Okay. If there are no specific questions, then thank you. Thank you very much. I think we had a lovely session, a lot of information shared by the panelists. Thank you. And I hand it over to our MC now.
Such a knowledgeable session, and now for the felicitation, I would request Mr. Rajesh Nath to felicitate our panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for this beautiful, knowledgeable panel discussion. Mr. Rajesh Nath, I would request to felicitate Mr. Peter Kazander, Managing Director, Logistics Exhibition. Please give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Peter Kazander. I would request Mr. Rajesh to felicitate Mr. Sangeet Kumar, co-founder, Addverb. Please give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Sangeet Kumar. एक बार जोरदार तालियां हो जाए, ladies and gentlemen. I would request Mr. Rajesh to felicitate Mr. Anubhav Rai, Head of Operations, Export, Zooplus. Please give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Anubhav Rai. I request Mr. Rajesh to felicitate Mr. Ribin, Mathew, founder, ANSCER, Robotics. Please give a big round of applause for Mr. Ribin, Mathew. I request Mr. Rajesh to felicitate Mr. Dirk, Hanschur, CEO, Log Hub. Please give a big round of applause for Mr. Dirk. Now I request Ms. Radhika to come upon the stage from Messi, Stuttgart, India, to felicitate Mr. Rajesh Nath, our moderator, Managing Director, VDMA India. Session on digital transformation and human-robot collaboration. We had a very knowledgeable session.